When planning a prevention program, you want to check if your client has a high risk due to their biomechanics. An initial assessment was carried out on patient X. The aim of this assessment was to see if patient X had knee valgus or any other knee impairments. To start with, patient X was asked to stand in his normal upright position. This was in order to see whether he has a potential movement dysfunction known as pronation distortion syndrome. As we can see here, patient X has very slight internal rotation of the lower left leg. This in turn causes the left ankle to slightly pronate. This can increase pressure on the left knee and the structures within it. Next, we wanted to assess the patient's transitional movement by getting him to perform overhead squats and single leg squats. As we can see here, when patient X performs an overhead squat, there are no obvious inward or outward movement of the knees. However, a slight weakness of the quadriceps, which causes him to wobble slightly when getting into the squat position. When performing the single leg squat, we can clearly see that there is weakness in the quads, causing the patient to not control his legs when squatting. Patient X's dynamic movement was also assessed by performing tuck jumps. This was to see if there was any knee deficits on landing, such as excessive knee valgus. From this video, we can see patient X has no issues when performing this exercise, and there doesn't appear to be any knee deficits. Patient X was given an ACL rupture prevention program to follow. The program was designed to focus on modifying the risk factors by improving biomechanical movement patterns by including dynamic stretching, hip and core activation, strengthening the lower extremities, agility training, plyometric training, and movement re-education. The program was to be carried out 3 to 5 times a week for 6 weeks. Here's an example of one of patient X's sessions. As we can see, it includes different exercises to help activate, strengthen, and improve coordination of the lower extremities. Squats are a great exercise for strengthening. When performing a squat, you want to ensure that the back is straight and that the head and eyes stay looking forward. Ensure the knees do not go out over the toes and that the knees do not move inwards or outwards. To progress this exercise, you could move on to jump squats. Another good strengthening exercise is using the leg press. An important teaching point for this is to ensure that the knees don't lock out when straightening. Single leg deadlifts strengthen the posterior chain, including the glutes and hamstrings, whilst also extending the hip, which is essential to spare the knees below and the spine above. Single leg deadlifts are an important exercise because you get a training effect more quickly, and it can be used as a test to see if you have one leg stronger than the other. This exercise can be progressed by adding heavier weights and performing with both legs at the same time, or can be regressed by not using weights at all. The 180-degree jump teaches dynamic body and lower extremity control while the body is rotating in the transverse plane. It teaches the patient to recognise and control dangerous rotational forces that can improve body awareness and control that will reduce the risk of injury. Nestler et al. 2017 state that programs which include strength training were among the most effective at decreasing ACL injury rates, whereas strength training on its own is not necessarily successful in preventing injury. However, studies have been conducted which show that programs have been effective in decreasing ACL injuries without the inclusion of strength training. Recent studies conducted by Sadoghi et al. 2012 and Grimm et al. 2015 found that there was a significant reduction in ACL injuries in those that have followed a prevention training program.